Schrock Innovations presents the Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This. Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, and Papillion, where we can fix your computers. We can get your business up and running, get those tech gremlins out of your stuff. We can build your website. We can, we can recover the data off of your hard drive. We can set up a backup for you very easily for your computer. You know, there's a lot of things that we can do at Schrock to help you out with your technology. So if you have problems with your technology, there's only one name you have to remember, Schrock Innovations. And there's only one phone number you have to remember this morning, 866-496-8772. Those are the numbers to join us on the show. Ask a question or make a comment. We'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. For those of you listening outside the Omaha metro area, in the Lincoln metro area, wanted to let everybody know that Compute This is recorded Sunday mornings at 7. So you can tune in every Sunday morning at 7 right here. We're on Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations if you want to listen live. Of course, you can listen to the radio stations here in Omaha, also on iHeartMedia. But if you want to, that's when we're live. That's when you need to call in. If you call in other times, you still get help. It still goes to our service center and a technician will help you, but you're not on the show. So just wanted to throw that out there to everyone who's listening off in Des Moines and all the other distant areas. We have not forgotten about you, my fellow Des Moinians. How do you say that one? Des Moiners? Haven't forgotten about you. We're still working toward that service center in Des Moines, 866-496-8772. All right, today on the program, we got quite a bit to talk about here. A company we don't talk about too often on technology shows, Johnson & Johnson. We're going to give you a story about why they're buying a robot company. Yes, Johnson & Johnson, this is like they make like powder and baby oil, yeah. But they're buying a robot company. If you Mac users, stay tuned. There's a Trojan that disables your gatekeeper and does all kinds of wonderful stuff. If you have a website running WordPress, there's a whole new security vulnerability. One of the reasons why at Schrock we take the security of our web customers very, very seriously, probably more seriously than they actually do on their own website, because people don't realize, the days of putting up a website and leaving it up and not touching it for 5 years, those have been gone for years. And unfortunately, when we get new clients, the leading reason we get new web clients at Schrock is because a current provider has screwed up so terribly with the security of the site that it's been taken over by the Turkish hacking group, or they have an ISIS flag on their website all of a sudden. They don't know why or how, or worse yet, there are random pages on their website pushing all kinds of Russian pills and porn. So all these things are real things that happen to real business owners because their websites don't get updated. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And if you're a WordPress user, you're going to want to stay tuned here for this segment coming up on the show as well. New Trojan actually is using your antivirus software to infect your computer. That's interesting. Yeah, there's a reason you use those junky old, the free antivirus programs. Not so good. Also, if you missed it this week, there was an absolutely epic patch for Adobe products. We're talking 44 critical vulnerabilities. So one critical vulnerability is enough to get a bad guy into your computer. So this is like a cornucopia. This is like the Valentine's Day box of chocolates on special in the groceries cart on February 15th of critical vulnerabilities for a hacker. 44 different ways. Pick your flavor. How do you want to get into the computer? If you haven't installed this Adobe patch, you're going to want to do that. Of course, if you have Secure Updater running on your computer, that Adobe patch has already been done. It was done within 8 hours of release. Also, Windows 10 updates are being made a little easier to understand, according to Microsoft. Here's what you need to understand. New version of Windows 10 coming in April. Yes, Safe Upgrade will be available for you a little bit later. We're not going to talk about it this early, but coming up, there's a whole new version coming in April. And as always, about 80% of the computers out there will install it without a hitch. 20% of them, it will be an absolute quagmire. So we try to make sure that those customers get upgraded safely so that they don't lose data, they don't have problems with their computers. Okay, also, Microsoft. This is an interesting story about Microsoft removing apps from the Windows Store. So if you don't know this, with Windows 10, you can click on Start and go to the store, and you can get all kinds of free games and apps, and just like you can on your smartphone. Microsoft is removing tons of these apps from the store because they're basically using your computer to mine for cryptocurrencies in the background while you're playing the games, and that's not cool. So we're going to talk to you about what apps you should look for, and then how can you tell what apps are okay to download and which ones aren't. All right, so last week, and it's not like I did this at the last minute, yesterday at 10 o'clock at night or anything. But last week we did get some calls on the show from people who, and over the week I got emails actually about it, people who tried to follow our step-by-step instructions on how to do backups on their Windows 10 systems, because some people's computers are not the same version of Windows 10 as the one I was using. They saw slightly different screens. Because some people had set up backups in the past, they saw a different screen with different content than people who had never set up a backup before on their computer. Now, this is our 20th anniversary this year at Schrock, and every month we're doing an absolutely crazy sale. Some of these sales we've never done before. Some of them we may never do again. Last month it was labor. I mean, we never put labor is the thing. You're a service company, you don't put labor on sale. This month, it's our external hard drives. This was a customer request, our modular storage devices. You can get them in all kinds of flavors. They're 45% faster than the fastest the fastest hard drives that are available on the market right now. You can get them with solid states put in them so that they're 6 times less likely to fail. You can get them with rotating drives. You can get them as cheap as $50 on special. So there is absolutely no reason for you to not have a backup drive on your computer right now. Also, if you buy one of the modular backup drives, even though they're half off, we will still set up the backup for you for free on your computer. Even if you have us ship it to you, just give us a call when you receive it, and we'll do it over the Schrock desk. You can order these on the website at SchrockInnovations.com, or you can pop into your local service center and pick one up. They do have them in stock. All 3 locations do. Now, backups. Some people said they had trouble following the directions. They had trouble making sure it was set up right. Maybe they had a backup that was set up for Windows 7 in the past, and that backup is no longer running. So what I did is I went ahead and shot a video. I didn't spend a ton of time on it. I recorded it twice, okay? The first one was over 7 minutes long, and I'm like, that's way too long. People have short attention spans, you see. The recommended length for a video online is 2 minutes or less. So these hour-long radio shows that we put on Facebook are totally not how you're supposed to do it, right? But 2 minutes or less, but 7 minutes for this little video, I'm like, okay, I'm rambling. It's too long. So I shot it again, and I got it down to 4 minutes, which for me is pretty darn good. I almost cut it in half. But basically, it's a start-to-finish thing. Here's the desktop. Here's how you plug in your hard drive. This is what it'll look like. And then once you go through all the options, here's how you set up your backup. Here is how you turn it on. Here is how you check to see if it is working. This is where you used to go for the Windows 7 backup. We don't want to do that anymore. Now you want to do the file history backup, and here's how to set that up. Once you have it set up, you can't just click the switch to on and forget about it. You have to go in and make sure it's actually doing the backup. So here's how you do that. Then, how long do you want to keep the backups? Here are the options you have, and here's the one that we recommend. So it's a video. It's on facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. We're going to get it up on the do-it-yourself section of Schrock here on Monday so that you can have it there as well. For those of you, there are some people who refuse to get on Facebook, even though you don't need an account to look at our stuff. They just, I'm not going to touch Facebook. They collect data on you anyway, even if you don't use Facebook. How? Well, all those web pages you go to that have the little like buttons on them, yeah, they're collecting data on you even though you're not using Facebook. So you may as well get the Benny, right? You may as well jump in and get the free content because you're already paying for it with your privacy. We have some interesting stuff. I was listening to a broadcast on the way in today, actually. They were talking with the guy who is considered like the father of American artificial intelligence, and the things that are changing in the economy and in the economies of the world. He was talking about how Europe is putting themselves at a significant disadvantage by what they're doing right now, and the United States and China are in a pitched battle for AI dominance. Right now, the United States has the innate edge in that, which is why in the trade negotiations, the theft of intellectual property is such a big deal. That edge is the intellectual property. That's the edge that China wants to get. So we're going to talk, if we have some time here on the program, we're going to get to that one. That's a little bit inside politics and baseball. I try to keep the politics out of the show because you can get politics anywhere, anytime, all day, until you're blue in the face. So we might save that one for the Aftershock, but the Aftershock is a little segment we do at the end of the program that that basically allows you to ask questions that maybe didn't fit into the regular program. 866-496-8772. We have an early call. Let's jump on in. I always say I'll keep talking until we get a call. Well, we've got a call. Ed's here. Ed, how can I help you on Compute This today?
Yeah, on my iPhone, I get this pop-up once in a while, and it says Norton Secure VPN. Do I need, and it says install. Do I need to install it or don't need to install it, or what is VPN?
Gotcha. So that's an ad, first of all, that's popping up on your phone. So some other app you're running on the phone has advertising built into it, so they're popping up an ad. A lot of people will hear what you said, and they'll think that you said Norton VPN. It's actually Nordun VPN with a D. It's a completely separate company from Symantec. It has nothing to do with Endpoint or anything else. So the Nordun VPN stands for a virtual private network. So when you get on the internet, let's just forget about phones and things for now, but let's say you're at home, you have an internet service provider, whether that's Cox or CenturyLink or Allo or any of the other biggies out there. You have an internet provider at home and you get on the internet. Your internet provider is providing you with the content you're requesting. So when you go and do a Google search and click on a link, your internet provider knows every single website you have ever been to and you will ever go to. So there is no privacy. Your internet provider, and that's what people get so freaked out about Facebook selling our data. The utility companies have been selling your data since the 1950s, guys. I mean, this is not new. This is the same model that's always been out there, but now it's all transparent. People, I don't like somebody watching everything that I do. Well, they've been watching how many people live in your house based on how much water and gas you use since the 1950s. That is what it is. Now, a VPN, what it does is it creates a scrambled network. So when your computer goes out to get that Google page from the internet, rather than going to your internet service provider and saying, I want to get page number 1379442, whatever, and then that page comes back, and then they put a little tick in the box that you looked at that page. Rather than that process happening, what a VPN does is it breaks it into chunks, and it sends off like 1,000 different requests to 1,000 different other computers on the internet, who then route those requests to yet 1,000 different computers on the internet, who then eventually reassemble it and send it to Google, and then take the response back from Google of the page you're looking for, and they do it again. They split it up 1,000 times and 1,000 times over, and then they reassemble it on your computer, kind of like a Star Trek teleporter. It's pretty amazing stuff. But the end result is nobody, except for, of course, the VPN company, knows what page you just loaded on your computer. So it gives you an anonymity on your computer that prevents the government from seeing what you're doing. It prevents your internet service provider from seeing what you're doing. In some ways, it also prevents Facebook and things from seeing what you're doing. Now, it also does block some legitimate stuff. For example, when you install Drive Advisor on your computer, now we're going to talk about Drive Advisor a little bit later in the program here, but when you install Drive Advisor, that's the free program that we make that monitors the health of your hard drive. Super simple, straightforward thing. It monitors the health of your hard drive. It sends you an email when your hard drive fails. The only thing that's different about Drive Advisor is if you are a Schrock customer. And what that means is if your computer has been in our service center on our bench, then we also add your Schrock tag number. And that links all this information to your Schrock account so that eventually you'll be able to log into your Schrock account, look at the status of all your hard drives on your computers. It's going to bring all this information into one place so that you can manage your whole digital life on your terms. Now, the other thing it allows us to do is now Schrock knows that now Drive Advisor knows you're a Schrock customer. So when your hard drive fails, the front desk in the service center, we know what service center you like to go to, whether it's Omaha, Papillion, or Lincoln. The front desk in that service center will get an email saying, please call Ed. His hard drive is failing in his computer. Because sometimes you don't see the emails. They get scraped to promotions or spam or whatever. Now, how does Drive Advisor know to do that? How does it know when it's been on our bench or not? Well, when it detects the IP address, we know what our IP addresses are that are assigned by the internet service provider. So when Drive Advisor runs, it says, what IP address am I on? And if it's one of the 3 Schrock IP addresses from the 3 service centers, it says, oh, ask for this tag number now. And if it doesn't see those 3 IP addresses, then it doesn't ask for the tag. Now, here's the thing. If you're on a VPN, it doesn't know what the IP address is. And so, I mean, literally, like you can close, like even our software doesn't know where you are, who you are, what's going on. I mean, you still get the email, of course, but if you're running a VPN on you, and this is a program you run on your computer, there are VPNs you run on your phone. There are VPNs you run on your computer. There's also a great big VPN that you can install in your wireless router itself that encrypts all of the data on your network, which sounds like a really great idea until you start to see some of the side effects of this. Because there's a lot of things that are done for your convenience, like the Drive Advisor thing, that simply won't work if the internet is completely scrambled. So what is a VPN? A VPN is the ultimate in privacy. There are free VPNs you can get. They are not recommended. Many of the free VPNs are either promoted and sponsored by governments. Yes, to get people who are concerned about their security to use the CIA-sponsored or the Dubai-sponsored or the China-sponsored VPN so that they can see everything you're doing. Some of them, the free ones, are actually made by cyber criminals because you must have something to hide, something valuable to hide if you're concerned about your security. So use Crime Inc.'s VPN software to keep yourself free of crime. Yeah. Nordun is one of the more reputable ones. Of course, there's a cost for that, usually about $30 a month or less. And it is a per device cost in many cases. Sometimes there's a plan, like a family plan, where you can increase like 5 computers or something. But that's a VPN, and that's what it does, and that's how it does it. So is a VPN something that everybody needs? No. If you don't do anything on your computer, but some Candy Crush and maybe pay some bills and things like that, your VPN, you're fine without a VPN. If you're torrenting videos off the internet or stealing other people's content, should you have a VPN? Yeah, you really should. Otherwise, you're going to get caught. Should you have a VPN if you're a business user? Yeah. If you go from hotel to hotel to hotel and you're always using free open Wi-Fi at different places, you absolutely should have a VPN on your computer. It's going to be the only thing that keeps your personal information safe on that network. 866-496-8772. Got to take our first break of the program. When we come back, Johnson & Johnson is going to pay $5 billion. Man, that's a lot of talcum powder. $5 billion for a robotics company? So we're going to find out exactly what kind of robotics the baby oil company is. I mean, maybe they're going to use the robots to make the baby oil. Maybe we should talk about robotics and jobs. Maybe we should talk about the new robots that Schrock has in place. Yeah, we're eliminating those jobs as we speak. Big evil corporations. All right, we'll tell you all about it coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations Data Recovery Lab saves the data the other guys can't. The next time your hard drive, camera card, or flash drive fails, let Schrock get your data back. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. You've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter? You created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, and Papillion. Also, anywhere you need us online over the Schrock desk. Just give us a call in the service centers. We'll give you a code to connect to the Schrock desk. Bada boom, bada bing. We're like sitting right beside you, and we can help you out, build that backup for you, do whatever you need us to do. All righty. So, as I mentioned earlier in the program today, all of our backup hard drives are on sale for the month of February at Schrock Innovations. They're all half off. That includes the solid state flavors. So it's a very, very unique opportunity where you can actually get half off of a solid state hard drive that has already been coming down in price. To give you some examples here, the 500 gig rotating hard drive, which is the backup that most of you are going to pick. Those of you who got the solid state upgrades last month, most of you just need it because you got a smaller hard drive. You have a 120 gig hard drive. So a 500 gig hard drive is plenty to do backups. They're only $50 for the rotating varieties. You can also get the solid state varieties. So for example, typically your 500, let's just say a 480 gigabyte solid state external hard drive, right? That'd be about $275. So that's half off right now. So that's a really, really good price for an external hard drive, especially the solid state flavors. If you compare that with what you're seeing at the box stores, which they are starting to sell solid state enclosed hard drives now. The reason these solid state enclosed hard drives are so good is they're 6 times less likely to fail. You can bounce them, you can bang them, you can drop them on the floor. The dog can run by and take them off the desk. It doesn't phase them. So these hard drives are much more resilient, but when they do die, they do tend to die quickly. So if you have a solid state hard drive in your computer and you experience a hard drive failure, you're not going to have the months and months and months of lead up. You're going to be 100% one day, and the next day a Drive Advisor is going to fire up and say 99%. And then within a week, it's going to say 95%, 94%, 92%. You're going to have maybe a week, 2 weeks lead up before you start seeing symptoms. Great example of this. We have a guy who's a Lincoln customer. His name is Dave. He had a solid state hard drive in his computer. His solid state hard drive went to 90%, from 100% to 90 in one shot. Dave had Drive Advisor. Dave was a Schrock customer. He had been on our bench before, so we got the alert. So Dave got an email from Drive Advisor warning him that his solid state hard drive was failing. Not a Schrock build, by the way. The follow-up phone call from Ariel at the front desk to Dave was subsequently ignored. He did not come in. So his hard drive continued to get worse, 90%, all the way down to 70%, and that's when he started seeing symptoms. Now, what was the symptom that Dave saw? Well, see, Dave, he liked to save everything in folders on his desktop. Nothing in his documents folder, nothing in pictures. And honestly, it wouldn't have mattered too much if he did. It's just in the dumb luck of the failure, the one memory cell that got hit was the memory cell that was holding everything from his desktop. All of his files, boop, just disappeared one day. So he brings it in, sends it to data recovery, right? Well, in the data recovery lab, we can do a lot, but when the memory cell itself is torched, there's not a lot we can do with that. So we can recover all the other data off. We get file fragments, but we're missing critical pieces of all the data. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to recover that. If Dave would have had a backup, we wouldn't be in the data recovery lab. If Dave would have heeded the warnings from Drive Advisor, we wouldn't be in the data recovery lab. Dave didn't. Dave had more important things to do. We all do. We have life, right? Stuff happens. I'm just saying it's good to have a backup, and it's good to have Drive Advisor, because Drive Advisor will also monitor the health status of your backup drive. So if your backup drive starts to fail, you don't want to realize that your backup drive is bad when your main hard drive fails. That's a bad time to figure that out. So just check it out. You can get Drive Advisor free at driveadvisor.com. That's www.driveadvisor.com. 866-496-8772. By the way, Drive Advisor is ER, Advisor. Johnson & Johnson, who is a company well known for their powder and baby oil and other products. One of the things you may not know about Johnson & Johnson is they also have a medical device business. And their medical device business is seeing the writing on the wall that in the future, robot-assisted, or yet again, we're going to be hearing this term a lot in the next 2 years, AI-assisted diagnostic robots, things like that, are going to become the way things are done. In fact, the way that they put it here is the way they see robots as a way to bridge the gap. Now, this is really scary when you think about this. They bridge the gap between normal surgeons and exquisite surgeons and industry-leading surgeons. So when you think about that, the last time you had somebody work on you, did you stop and ask, so are you just like an average surgeon? Like, what was your GPA? Did you have coffee this morning? Tell me about your life. Are you under any kind of weird stress right now? Have you ever left a sponge in anybody? What's the delineation between like a world-class surgeon and just a regular surgeon? Well, there's apparently a difference, whatever that difference is. And they see these robots as the way to deal with that. Now, we're going to have a theme on the radio show today about gross medical things, I think, because there's a few more stories like this here. We have a story coming up on the program about your smartphone, that it can detect kidney problems. Well, there's by testing your urine. You have the smartphone out in the bathroom anyway, guys. You do. I mean, so yeah, why not? So that's an interesting story. We're going to get to that one. Maybe that's better dealt with in the aftershock. We'll see. But Johnson & Johnson bought this company, this robot company. It's the let me get the name right here. Johnson & Johnson bought Aureus Health for $3.4 billion with another $2 billion plus in milestone payments. So in other words, they bought the company. This company has been super quiet, under the radar. They don't publish all their stuff. But what they've invented is an endoscope. That the whole concept of robotic cancer detection is we're going to use the body's natural openings to find your cancers and treat them rather than cutting you open. So think about like Ruth Bader Ginsburg when they found the lung cancer inside her lungs. What if they would have had a robot they could have put down her throat basically that could have treated the cancer without having to cut her open? Her recovery time would have been much, much faster. The complications, the potential infections, the recovery time, the medical expenses would have all been lower because they didn't have to cut her open to treat it. So this thing has an endoscope that goes down into your lung basically and can actually identify cancer in your lungs and then treat that cancer in your lungs directly at the source. It's pretty amazing stuff. Now, this is a really targeted thing. We're talking 150,000 people a year die of lung cancer. So it's not like millions and millions of people. I mean, 150,000 people, that's bad. My grandmother had lung cancer. It was in her lungs. It was in her neck bones. It was all over the place at the end. So it's one of these things where if you have a robot that can detect this and fix it, is that not pretty cool? And it's very cool. But what Johnson & Johnson is betting here is there are competitors in the field. There's another company that has a competing prostate cancer treatment device. Very similar concept. We'll just spare you the details. But, it goes into the body through a natural opening and treats prostate cancer. Well, eventually, I'm guessing the technology is probably not that much different at the end of the day. So if you have a company that can do this, you could build off that technology, you could invest in that technology, you could scale that technology, and you could be part of the future, part of the leading future. All right, we're going to take a break here on the program. Cheryl, stay on the line. We'll get to your call coming up next year after the break. Also, when we come back, there's been a lot of talk about artificial intelligence and job stealing, and the future of the American workforce and how the world is going to change. Whether America is going to continue to rule the roost, if you will. So we're going to give you some insight into some of this stuff and how, like, for example, how Schrock Innovations is starting to leverage robotic technology to help our service centers be more efficient. And is it taking the jobs of Schrock technicians? Well, only the bad ones, right? Only the ones that are, we have normal technicians and then we have like world leading technicians, So this is just bridging the gap between the scrubs. And no, we don't have scrubs, but you know what I mean. So we're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. And yes, it can be big and it can be scary, but also not developing artificial intelligence can also be equally big and equally scary. It's one of those things where if it's going to exist, you better control it. And we're going to talk about that coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business. Schrock Innovations has spent nearly 2 decades working to make your technology life easier, and the all-new SchrockInnovations.com is no exception. Now you can order new modular computers and solid-state laptops directly from our website, secure your computer with our virus-free guaranteed semantic endpoint software, find innovative new technologies like our modular storage devices, and get free help and tips. Take a look at the special section to find sales on one-of-a-kind items, display models, refurbished units, and our latest special offers. Swing by the Compute This page to watch TV segments and archived radio shows, or even get one-on-one help through the Schrock Desk. As always, we respect your privacy, so we secure our website with the latest encryption technology and only the most secure payment methods. You can pick up your purchases at any of our 3 service centers or have them shipped directly to your door. The new SchrockInnovations.com makes technology simple. It's what we do. Get this pro tip, 423. Everyone knows you need an antivirus and firewall program for your computer, but which one is the best? Should you use the free ones, pay for a commercial product, or maybe even the free stuff your internet service provider gives you? The absolute worst thing you can do is to install nothing. Windows 10 comes with Windows Defender, but Microsoft never intended it to be your primary antivirus product. Free antivirus like AVG or Avast are more effective than Windows Defender, but Consumer Reports ranks the free antivirus products in the middle of the pack when compared to their commercial competitors. As for the free software from your internet provider, forget about it. It's designed to protect their network, not your computer. There are 2 products that trade the crown for best antivirus software year after year. Schrock recommends Symantec products like Endpoint, but the Russian-made Kaspersky antivirus program also does an outstanding job. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Carol McHugh. Actor Jussie Smollett of TV's Empire is no longer being considered an assault victim by Chicago cops.
It all goes back to January 29th, a date in which Smollett alleges that he was attacked in the Streeterville part of town by a couple of white individuals who hit him with homophobic and racist slurs and told him this is MAGA country.
Fox's Mike Tobin. Cops say the actor hired 2 brothers from Nigeria to stage an attack on him. Smollett's attorney denies the claims. Protests against the president's national emergency declaration expected tomorrow.
Democrat Maxine Waters issuing a clarion call to Americans opposed to the president's national emergency.
It's time for everybody to stand up, all hands on deck, to refuse this president these fake emergency powers that he'd like to have.
Fox's Jillian Turner reporting demonstrations expected in New York, Texas, and California. This is Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
Snow showers will continue this morning, tapering to flurries by this afternoon. Additional accumulation less than an inch. High temperatures around 24 degrees today. Overnight, cloudy skies with a low around 12. On Monday, partly cloudy skies with a high around 21, dropping to 5 Monday night. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist David Keller on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name's Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, 866-496-8772. That's how you join the program. That's how you make a comment or ask a question, and that's how you can win $25 this morning, and that is what Cheryl wants to do. Welcome to the program, Cheryl. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Morning, Thor. Whenever I turn my computer on, I get this sign that said, our website is having trouble interacting with your ad blocking software. If you're experiencing issues, we apologize and suggest that you try disabling your current ad blocker or switch to a different ad blocker.
Okay.
I get so many ads anyhow. I'm afraid if it's disabled, I'll get even more, so I don't know what to do.
Okay, so what's the website that you're going to that's popping? What's your homepage, it sounds like, that opens up?
Firefox.
And where does Firefox take you when you first turn it on?
Wherever I tell it to go. Right now, when I'm at MSN to check the weather, I'm in the news.
And that's where it popped up?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know what ad blocker you're running?
No.
Okay, so basically, there are a ton of ad blockers out there. And AdBlock Plus is probably one of the most recognized ones. There's a fine line in ad blocking. Nobody wants to see the ads, right? But everybody wants the free content. You want the free weather report. You're not paying for that weather report, but you want the weather report. And MSN is saying, hey, we're having trouble displaying ads on your computer here. And as a result, you may not be getting the full benefit of our website, which usually you are anyway. But what they're saying is they can't show you the ads, which means they can't make money. And eventually, if a company can't make money long enough, they stop giving you the free weather reports. So, there's a fine line between reasonable advertisements on a page and what I'll call the High School Musical program. you know, where there's like 2 pages about the kids and then there's like blocks of ads, and you wonder why companies even buy them because nobody's looking at them. Same thing at the Orpheum. It's a donation. I mean, you're not buying that ad because someone's going to see your ad and do business with your company. It's just, hey, we support the arts kind of thing. And you're in there, and that's great. But the bottom line here is, depending on what ad blocker you're using, there are some ad blockers that go over the top, and they try to block even reasonable ads, which there's got to be a common compromise here where, you know, content providers can monetize their content. Or on the other hand, we don't want to have a situation where there's a website with one little free thing on it and then 75,000 ads because they're trying to maximize their ability to monetize the content. So AdBlock Plus actually works with Google and other industry-leading advertising companies to create reasonable limitations. For example, with Google, you cannot have more than 3 advertisements on the page. And whatever the page is, you can put 3 ads on it, and that's it. None of those pencil ads. The newspapers love pencil ads. They come down from the top of the page and then take up like 3/4 of your screen, and you have to close them. So you have to acknowledge the ad to get rid of it. Google says those are intrusive ads. Those are examples of bad advertising. We shouldn't do that. So your ad blocker will still stop pencil ads, but it won't stop little ads on the sidebar and things like that, or little, you know, boxes that come up on the screen as part of the content. So I'm not sure what ad blocker you're using, but you might try switching to AdBlock Plus. Now, every website out there is going to tell you that you'll get a better experience on their site if you turn up your pop-up blocker. You'll see this when you cruise the internet. If you go to different, you know, forums and blogs and things, it'll say, you know, please turn off your pop-up blocker and help us make money, basically, because we're giving you all this great service and great content. And that's great. The problem is most of the sites that ask you to turn off the pop-up blocker are sites that are just packing their website with ads, and as a result, Google, that has a relationship with AdBlock Plus, doesn't allow the ads to come through. But most websites that allow reasonable advertising will have a reasonable turnabout making money, basically. But
so how do I find out which ad blocker I have, and how do I add AdBlock Plus?
Gotcha. So in Firefox, when you run an ad blocker, it's going to run as a separate little program called an add-on. Okay. So up in the top right-hand corner of your screen, you know where the X is to close the window?
Yes.
Don't click the X, but just right below that, there's 3 little horizontal bars. They call it a hamburger menu.
Okay. I don't see those, but I can watch for them in the future for the 3 little dots.
Gotcha. Well, it's 3 bars, 3 horizontal bars. Literally, it looks like a hamburger. There's a top bun, a bottom bun, and then a meaty middle. So you click on the hamburger menu and you go to add-ons, and it will tell you what add-ons or extensions you are running in your Firefox browser right now. So, you know, I'm running a few here, ad blocking and privacy. There we go. So yeah, I've got an ad blocker installed in mine. I don't see a lot of ads. I've got a few other ones. There's a really cool one that I've installed recently called Honey. And what it does is it automatically finds coupon codes for you when you're shopping online. You just click apply codes, and it goes through like a million different codes, tries to add them all, and then gives you the one that saves you the most money. And it's free. It's kind of cool. So Honey is a good one. But you know, you can add all kinds of things onto your browser, but that's where you're going to find the whatever you're running right now. And then, of course, there's a ton of them out there, but AdBlock Plus is one of the more recognized pop-up blockers. All right, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. 866-496-8772. All right, I just posted a link on Facebook at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations in the show content here. It's a Forbes article. This is a little bit dated. This is from late last year, but it expresses the concern that the United States is losing the AI battle right now. Now, when we talk about artificial intelligence, there's a tendency to jump to the Terminator conclusion, you know, where we're going to have robots killing us and killing everything and imposing, you know, robotic utopian order on everybody. That's definitely one dystopian outcome. That could happen. On the other hand, that's not the inevitable outcome. So, for example, in the service centers at Schrock right now, I have an atrocious time getting my guys to sweep and mop. They will fix your computer like the wind. They will help you on the phone. They'll spend all kinds of time making sure customer stuff is working right. But I can't get them to pick up a darn mop and a broom. Come on, guys. So finally, I just said, okay, you can't beat them, join them. So we went ahead and we got Roombas for all 3 service centers. We call them Rosie. It's Rosie the robot. And it's kind of fun because when we were training Rosie in Lincoln, the customers would come in and I'd let them push the button on my smartphone to activate Rosie, which is kind of silly. But I was like, have you ever turned on a robot before? And they're like, no. So push this button. They push the button and the robot vacuum starts going off on the other side of the room. And they're like, wow, that's kind of cool. But Rosie basically patrols the service centers at 9 o'clock at night. She kicks off in Omaha, Lincoln, and Papillion, and she goes around the floors and sweeps up all the little dust bunnies and debris and, things that we blow out of your computer when it's in the shop. She goes through and just cleans all that up for us, and we come in the morning, we empty her bin. Now, did Rosie, as a robot with artificial intelligence, she builds a map of the environment she's in. She can navigate around obstacles. She knows when she needs to be maintained, when her bin is full and she needs to be emptied. There are some models that actually empty their own bins, even if you want to spend a ton on it, which we didn't. But is Rosie taking someone's job? So let's say if it takes, we have each service center is about 3,000 square feet. So if it takes an employee to sweep the service center, let's say it takes them 20 minutes to do a good sweep job on the service center because they're doing it every day, right? So if you do it every day, it shouldn't be a monumental task. So let's say it takes 20 minutes per service center per day. So 60 minutes per service center per day, or 60 minutes for the company, 1 hour a week or 1 hour a day devoted to cleaning the service center. So now my robots are doing it 7 days a week. So we're saving 7 hours a week at a full-time equivalent. Let's just say it's a $20 full-time equivalent because, whatever mid-range employee is going to be sweeping the floor. There you go. How much money has Schrock Innovations saved by purchasing a $250 little sweeping robot? And the guys, because since it's a robot, now it's cool. They will empty the robot, but they won't sweep the floor. They make mopping robots. That's our next investment. We're looking at the mopping robots next to see if we can get them to mop the front ends of the service center, basically, so we don't have to mop anymore. Because it just saves so much time. It's a task that none of my guys want to do. I joke about with someone, when my son was little, it was when they first started getting these robot trash trucks. Go out and grab the trash can and throw it into the truck. So the artificial intelligence is behind all of these innovations. Now, artificial intelligence isn't always a self-directing robot. It's not always Jarvis, okay, from Iron Man. Artificial intelligence is also machine learning. So, for example, yes, Facebook collects a lot of data on you, but they use that data to predict what kind of stories and posts that your friends and family make that you'll be interested in, and then they show you those. And it's constantly learning. By how fast you scroll through your feed, it's learning. By how often you open the Facebook app, it's learning. And so the more you use Facebook, the smarter it gets and the better tailored it gets to you, which is why when political season comes around, we have these enclaves of political thought where everybody thinks that everybody agrees with them because they're never exposed to somebody else's opinion, because you don't want to hear the competing opinion. So Facebook doesn't show you the competing opinion. There's no reason to, right? So now we have this artificial intelligence going on. Now, America has the microprocessors. We have microchips that are so much faster than the microchips in other countries. They're thinner, they're more energy efficient, which means they run longer on battery. They can do more work with less energy. It's a really good thing, right? So America's got the microprocessors that are the best in the world. China has literally the quantity. They can take a cheaper, like junkier processor, make 1 million of them, and then have it be, wow, look at this. So China's doing machine learning right now. What they're doing with the Uyghurs right now, the Muslim population in China, there was just a story out that said that the Uyghur population, the Muslim population in China, they have a database, a facial recognition database they've been building. And because they're made a mistake, they left the database accessible to the public. So anyone in the world could download the entire database of every Muslim face in China, right? Pretty scary stuff. So the machine learning involved in that had to learn how to identify a Muslim based on facial features that are unique to that particular. I don't know. How do you detect someone's religion from a facial feature? Basically, you're racially, what do they call that? Profiling. But yeah, I guess, that's what they're doing, and they're China, so they don't care. So the machine learning is behind identifying, cataloging, and building basically databases up. AI, this is the same stuff a human would be doing in China right now, but instead the AI can do it. It can do it more efficiently, and you can manage large populations with it. Artificial intelligence is also responsible for doing crazy things, like solving really complex puzzles, like DNA puzzles, sequencing human genomes, things like that, stuff that had to be done by hand that took years and years and years. Now you can spit in a tube and send it to 23andMe and get the results back in a month. That's machine learning. So artificial intelligence isn't always this big bad thing. Now, here's the trouble. Artificial intelligence can be baked into weapons. Artificial intelligence can be baked into satellites and targeting data and all kinds of other stuff. It can be baked into the machines that assemble cars. It can be baked into literally the laptop on your kitchen counter, your smart oven. All these things can have artificial intelligence built into them. And when that happens, everything is going to get more efficient. And when things get more efficient, things get more powerful. You can do more with less. When you can do more with less, you have a significant tactical advantage over your competitors. You know, that 7 hours a day or 7 hours a week that my service center is being swept by a robot, a young startup company that wants to compete with us has to pay an employee 7 hours a week to do that. And that's a burden for them. So, I mean, anytime that you make your organization more efficient and smarter and operating better, it puts your competition at a disadvantage. And the same thing happens geopolitically. So long story short here, too late I know, is that there is a huge epic race going on right now for artificial intelligence dominance. And it is incredibly vital that the United States win this fight. Because if we don't, we will be outclassed militarily eventually. We will be outclassed economically eventually. We will see that decline that seemed so inevitable, 8-10 years ago. We will see that actually materialize. Look at what Europe is doing by beating the tar out of Facebook and Google, who make egregious mistakes because they're dealing with people's data and they slip up. And yes, it's an egregious mistake and they should be punished for them. But right now, the European Union their stated effort is to slow down AI. They want to slow down the implementation of artificial intelligence in Europe. It's a protectionist thing. We don't want it taking our jobs. We don't want it's a very populist idea. The problem is, in so doing that, they are seeding that in the future, the United States and China are going to be so much more efficient at what we do, that our products will be so much cheaper, that our businesses will be so much more efficient, that Europe will not be able to compete. And Europe will be forever the debt slave of another country, basically, because they can't compete and they have to buy everything from the other country, and then they'll be trying to play catch up. And by then, of course, we'll be selling artificial intelligence devices to other countries and making money on that. So eventually, whoever wins this AI race is going to dominate the world. It's that important. And it all comes back and starts with what Google and Facebook are doing. If you stop Google and Facebook from experimenting and learning about artificial intelligence, you literally doom the American economy, because there's no other country in America doing this. You could make an argument that Amazon might be doing it. You could make an argument that somebody else, Microsoft is playing in this too. But Google and Facebook are the two that are really leading the charge on this. Everybody else is staying back in the shadows because they don't want the heat that Google and Facebook are getting. So the next time that you're like, oh, those evil people at Facebook screwed up and now all my information is out there. Well, it's information you gave to Facebook willingly. Yes, with the intent that they were going to protect it. Understood. But the reason it's out there is because they're experimenting, they're trying to do new things. So, and like I said earlier, you can't shield yourself from it anyway, because once the artificial intelligence genie is out of the bottle, which it already is, there is no avoiding it. It's part of life now. It's part of the smartphones we carry in our pockets. Google gets asked by the European Union, does Google know where you're at all times with a smartphone? And the answer, the honest to God answer to that question is, how could they not know? They have their entire location service. You Google ATM near me, and it tells you where the closest ATM is. How could Google not know where you're at? That's part of the service. And yes, if used for nefarious means, having the big brother guy following you around is really, really bad. But having multiple companies developing the same technology in a competitive environment means that if a Facebook screws up royally, Amazon will take over. And if an Amazon screws up royally, Microsoft's there to pick up the pieces. That they're all going to be on their best behavior because they don't want to lose to the other companies. Yes, there's been bad behavior in the past, and yes, there'll probably be more bad behavior in the future. But what we're seeing with Facebook is those bad behaviors have consequences now, and they never used to. So this is the natural evolution of a new industry. The same thing with the railroad barons and the oil barons. There was bad behavior, and then there were no consequences, and then suddenly there were consequences, and the industry is regulated. That's what's going to happen here. The problem is we can't crush this before we get ahead of it. And that Forbes article that I posted is explaining why the United States is starting from a disadvantage, even though we have better tech. 866-496-8772. Stay on the line, Marge. Your call coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs. And all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This pro tip number 753. Have you ever wondered how the bad guys always seem to find a way into your computer? Gone are the good old days of email worms and I love you viruses. Nobody wants to steal your data anymore, or in many cases, even your identity. Today's cyber criminals want to sell access to your computer or hold your data for ransom. The bad guys are exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities to break into systems that are supposed to be hack-proof. These vulnerabilities are always newly discovered, and the criminals have a brief time to exploit them before they get patched. Antivirus and firewalls do not prevent these attacks, but you can minimize your computer's exposure by installing all security patches as quickly as possible. The average computer needs 12 patches a week. That's not including the ones that are automatically delivered to your computer. Boost your cybersecurity by staying on top of it manually or use a patch installation program like Secure Updater to get your computer the patches it needs. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This final segment, your final opportunity to get in on the action. 866-496-8772. Marge, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Yeah, I cracked the screen on my tablet and was wondering, do you guys fix that?
Gotcha. What kind of tablet is it?
It's an Asus.
Okay. So the answer is yes, it can be fixed. The other answer, though, is depending on the size of the tablet and the age of the tablet, sometimes it doesn't make financial sense to fix it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, so basically, this is one of the challenges we have. You know, all the devices are going mainstream now. So, yes, the answer is yes, we can fix that. We can get you a quote for that and do a repair. Now,
Perfect.
Of course, what service center are you closest to, Marge?
Papillion.
That's excellent, because I can't actually advertise that we can fix that for you if you were going to the Lincoln Service Center. And I can't advertise that because 10 years ago when we signed our lease, people like you didn't have tablets. And so when they didn't exist, so we just said we fix computers. And then lo and behold, here we are up to renew our lease, and we find out, there's down the strip a ways, a cell phone repair store has opened. And well, now because they have exclusivity on they can't fix computers. And we can't fix tablets or phones in Lincoln. We can't advertise that we do anyway. So I certainly couldn't advertise the fact on, a radio station or something that we fix these things in the Lincoln Service Center. But it's a good thing that you're going to Papillion, because I can advertise all day long that this exact same technicians can do that work in Papillion with the exact same tools that we have in the Lincoln Service Center.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marge. Have a great evening or afternoon. It's not evening yet. It's morning still. Whew, rough night with the kiddos last night. We got one not feeling good, and the lovely Kimberly was up late into the night. 866-496-8772. She let me sleep because she knew I had to be here for you guys this morning. So you guys owe her a thank you, a 3:30 a.m. kind of thank you. All right, so let's see, what haven't we got to here on the program? Mac OS Trojan. All right, so there's a Mac OS Trojan that's disabling Gatekeeper to deploy malicious payloads. It's called the Schlayer, if I had to say that slowly, Schlayer, Schlayer. It's been spreading as a fake Adobe Flash update. Now, this is why we created Secure Updater. Now, Secure Updater is not available for Mac, but it is available for PC users, and this is exactly why. A lot of times, PC users have been seeing this for years, that it'll pop up and say your flash is out of date, you got to update it, and you say, well, okay, I better do that. So you click OK, but it's actually a virus. But it looks just like the real update, so how do you tell? The answer is even professionals can't always tell. So what you do is when it says that there's an Adobe update that you need to do for your computer, first of all, Adobe Flash is done by Apple. In the Apple browsers. So the only time you're ever going to need to do a Flash update is if you're using a non-Apple browser, first of all. So if you see this when you're running Safari, it's definitely a scam. But basically, researchers have uncovered a new variant of the Shiler Mac OS malware, which is able to disable Gatekeeper after infecting a system to deploy unsigned payloads. This week, cybersecurity researchers from Carbon Black's, that's a good name, the Carbon Black Threat Analysis Unit, said that the latest version of the malware is primarily disguised as a fake Adobe Flash updater that has been spreading via malicious websites, hacked domains, and malvertising. So, yes, pop-up blockers, ad blockers will stop some malvertising. Yes, VPNs will help protect your safety, your identity. Yes, Secure Updater will make sure all of your third-party programs get updated properly. And yes, if you were running Semantic Endpoint on your Mac, you would not have been infected with this Mac OS Trojan. Because while it can disable Gatekeeper, it can't disable Semantic Endpoint. So again, I'm going to reiterate this because I still have Mac users that come into the service center. All those Macs that were sold back in the Vista era are coming of age now, to the point where people are questioning whether they should maintain them or replace them because they're getting slow. We've replaced a lot of solid-state hard drives in Macs in the last month. Or put solid states in them, I should say, to make them fast again. Which is a great way to avoid spending $5,000 on a new MacBook Pro. Ding! That's good stuff. The challenge here is that Macs can get infected like any other computer. People still believe that Macs are impervious to viruses. That is not the truth. It never was the truth. You were less likely to get infected back in the day when Mac was 0.01% of the computing population. But now that you're about 10% of the population who disproportionately has a lot of money because you can pay $5,000 for a laptop, you're a target, and they will infect you. So make sure that you get yourself some good antivirus software. We do recommend the Schrock from Schrock, the Semantic Endpoint software. All right, so need to draw a winner of the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate from the program today. Today's winner is Cheryl. Congratulations. Ariel will get a hold of you on Monday to get that certificate out to you, Cheryl. Watch for that in your mailbox. Coming up in the After Schrock, there's a few stories we didn't get to. We didn't get to the prostate cancer robot story. We didn't get to the pee on your smartphone to see if you have a kidney disease story. Those stories will have to be covered in the Aftershock coming up next. So we're going to end this broadcast on Facebook and start a new Facebook Live for the Aftershock, and then we'll be back here again next Sunday for another exciting edition of Compute This.
From the Miller